Rollerdrome is a Tony Hawk game if it was directed by Michael Bay. Quite frankly, this game is better than it has any goddamn right to be. This is in that special list of indie games that you should just not miss. I'm genuinely kind of pissed I didn't finish this before my Game of the Year video was done, because holy shit, this game is so fun. Hey there, how you doing? This is my monthly series called The Indie Reviewer, where I check out an indie game I either really loved or really didn't. As you can probably already tell, I really loved Rollerdrome, and I genuinely think anybody could have as much and likely more of a blast than I did. But first, before we really dive in, give that subscribe button a smack if you don't mind, and if you enjoy this video, give it a good old like when you reach the end of it. Anyhow, now that the YouTuber pleasantries are out of the way, let's talk Rollerdrome, the Tony Hawk game but with guns, developed by Roll7 and published by Private Division. And while I mentioned Tony Hawk as a descriptor, I never entirely got into the Tony Hawk or skate games as a kid. I was definitely more of a dabbler. It was one of those, I play this game at Toby's house every other month type deal. I never really thought I was missing out, but after the absolute joyride just doing tricks on rollerblades is, even without the pistols and rifles that are added into the mix here, I'm starting to consider going back and playing those classic games in this similar vein. But, you know, the addition of guns is probably one of the best parts of this game, so. I mean, who doesn't love absolutely embarrassing an enemy by ripping them apart with guns, and then doing trick after trick as you leave them bleeding out? It's basically the equivalent of getting teabagged in Halo lobbies, which has definitely never happened to me. I am a god gamer, how dare you assume otherwise? Moving on, Rollerdrome has you working through a campaign comprised of different levels, of which it grades your performance and speed. In order to gain more ammo for your weapons, it requires you to complete tricks. The cooler the trick, the larger amount of ammo you regenerate. There's also a decent selection of weaponry to swap between, from the classic dual pistols and shotgun to even weapons such as a crossbow and grenade launcher. But what is the story with which you take this selection of weapons? The basis of the plot is this: you are Kara Hassan, not that Hassan, and you are entering into the deadly sport of Rollerdrome, within which you are entered into a blading arena with nothing but the guns you bring with you, and then you kill everything in sight. A relatively basic premise, but it doesn't affect much more than the setting of the game, but it does do its job to give us the space to let the gameplay happen. You won't be finding a profound and heart-touching plot in Rollerdrome, but you will be finding one hell of a good time, which is all it really wants to do as a game, and at that it does succeed. The only other real form of any plot is Morgan Frey, a competitor who came before you, and their old scores are essentially what you should have the goal of beating. Pretty much plot-wise, anything that gets explained or does exist in the game is likely only there to prop up the gameplay aspects, other than just some files and stuff you can read for plot reasons if you want to, but it by no means tries to take center stage here. Morgan Frey is not somebody you ever speak to. They are merely a tool the developers use to make you have a goal, should you be a completionist. There are, however, some tidbits of further plot in terms of notes and comments left behind in the locker room, but nothing solid enough to really call a plot. It's more like slight world building. But if you're coming to this game like most, wanting to zip around with munitions, this game will absolutely not disappoint. Although it is important to keep in mind that this game can get pretty difficult if you're new to the genre, so be prepared to get your ass whooped a couple times. Now, I do have some complaints, but they are few. I had some issues with the camera a couple times, nothing game-breaking, just it not moving as fluidly when I was playing on mouse and keyboard, so I do recommend playing on controller if you have that option. This game also definitely suffers from a difficult endgame. I won't show any footage of the last levels to avoid spoilers, but it is a bit of a clusterfuck. Lots of stuff happening and explosions and such like that. It becomes pretty insanely difficult, at least for me. If you have the time and the spirit to master the controls and kick its ass, then good for you. I personally never actually finished the final level due to it feeling almost unfair. But I am a filthy casual, so the gamers like yourself would probably have less of a hard time. Altogether though, before it gets incredibly difficult, this game is an absolute blast, and 100% worth your time if this is a genre you already like. If you're like me and you never really got into skater games, then I recommend dipping your toes in with this one, maybe through a sale or something like that. Well, anyhow, thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, do give it a lovely little like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, do give that subscribe button a good old tea bag. But most importantly, have a wonderful day, and don't die.